This is more of a reunion than it is a public presentation. It seems like I know most of you, a lot of you helped build the Bonehenge Whale Center that I'll talk about momentarily. So away we go. Okay. If your phone makes any noise during any of these talks, you have to put $10 in the donation box. It's a good time to silence your phones. And in the next 40 minutes or so, I'm going to address these issues, not necessarily in that order, as they relate to North Carolina whales, dolphins, and porpoises. Collectively, they're referred to as cetaceans. It's a taxonomic term. Don't worry, there won't be a quiz. This is a humpback whale feeding. They're baleen whales, and our largest whales are baleen whales. They lack teeth. And in the upper jaws of baleen whales is the baleen. There's a sample outside on the table that you can handle, but the hairy parts on the inside, rigid parts on the outside, and it's like curtain, like fingernail. And if you handle that baleen outside, you will notice it's like plastic. And this was plastic of the day. Corset stays, buggy whips, bowls, things like that. And if it's not a baleen whale, it's a toothed whale. And so I have put a toothy grin of a bottlenose dolphin to represent toothed whales. So bottlenose dolphins technically are a small toothed whale. Graphically, it looks like this. This poster represents all the known species of whales, dolphins, and porpoises. And that's the term cetacea. This was printed 10 years ago, and it was accurate then. And there's been a lot of changes. One has gone extinct. One very likely might go extinct in the next couple of years. However, in the next edition of this poster, there's going to be two new species of beaked whales that have been discovered and named. And one of our presenters later is going to present about Rice's whale, AKA America's whale. It'll fit right there in the next edition of the poster. So there have been a lot of changes. That's my main point I wanted to make. And I want to introduce you to the oh wow of my career. And it's reflected on this poster. I'm going to put a red dot on every species that we have documented in North Carolina over the past 40-ish years. Oh, green dot. Okay. Anyway, that's it. I did not see this coming. There are 35 species. I'm not bragging. This isn't competition at all. That's more than any other state. I will work hard to prove me wrong. And we don't have the biggest coastline. We don't have the best biologists, although I know there are people in this crowd who would argue. But we've been able to document this diversity. And I just wanted to present these 35 reasons to be good stewards of our ocean. Because quite frankly, a lot of these we don't know much about, especially the offshore deep divers. This is from stranding responses, and we have our stranding coordinator, Vicki Thayer, here. So a lot of the data comes from her work and from the research cruises. So this doesn't reflect, for example, my uncle Peggy said he saw a blue whale. This is all when we know we got the species right. Yeah. All right, at the risk of being accused of oversimplifying from our next speaker, who's a real historian, I just wanted to present that whaling off North Carolina occurred. And these were the three species that were the primary targets for the longest period of time, most of 2 centuries, and more for the sperm whale. But I just wanted to present that to you as we address conservation. A right whale mom and calf. Terrifically exciting to see a healthy right whale mom and calf. The mom is facing this way, swimming that direction. Those are her blowholes. The calf, much darker, is here. This calf was not with that mom 3 weeks prior when she was photographed off of, I think, southern Georgia. So this is a very young right whale and super exciting. And when I take these pictures, I send them to Phil Hamilton at the New England Aquarium because he's the curator of the right whale catalog. And if I get off the boat, eat dinner, shower, and I'm, okay, 10:30, I finally remember I got to send Phil these photos. No matter what time I send them, within 30 minutes, he tells me who they are, like who the individuals are. How old is the mom? What number calf is this? Where was she last seen? I say, Phil, that's incredible that you can do that so fast and you even care enough to do it. He said, no, Keith, it's depressing. There are so few moms left that I don't need to go to the catalogs. And these are an extremely endangered species. And I hope you can make it to the last presentation by the people who are going to teach us a lot more about them. And the way they are known is by the callosities that grow on the head, the distance between them, the shape. It's like a fingerprint when we use a process called photo ID. That's how we know who the individuals are. And this is a mom calf pair that wasn't so fortunate. I'm not going to get into this story. It's terrifically depressing, but it was a surprise when Snowcone, the mom, actually gave birth when she was debilitated, horribly entangled, and quite frankly, people thought she was dying and she gave birth. And then something happened to her calf, so she was seen without the calf, and she hasn't been seen in 4 or 5 years, and so she's presumed dead. And I'm not going to get into the story any more than that, except to let you know that if you do an internet search for snow cone, you will find a very refreshing summer treat. But if you do snow cone right whale, you'll learn all about this story. And entanglement's one of the most important issues that they face for their recovery. I want to give a shout out to Provincetown Center for Coastal Studies. They have been absolute leaders in training us on how to respond to these and literally in disentangling them. Sometimes lots of whales, they disentangle over and over again. And they've been really leaders in the conservation. So good shout out to them. The last presenters are going to present this better than I, but main thing I want you to know, this is the number of calves born each year in this small population. What do I mean by small? There are about 380 left on Earth. That's it. Of those, a small percentage, perhaps 70 individuals, are potentially reproductive females. And this is how many calves are born each year. 2018, we were all depressed. This is 2025, the last season, and 11 calves were born. The season before that, 20 calves were born. So these are newborn right whales in this tiny endangered population. It gives me goosebumps to tell you that this number so far this year, as of last week, is 22. And I call that hope. So anyway, and the only reason I know that is because of the presenters who are going to be presenting last, because they are in the plane today. The thing I screwed up about today, the thing I forgot to do was my rain dance, because I very much wanted them to hear all these presentations. But they're in the plane, and they said they think they'll be able to show up this evening, but they'll probably be in their flight suits. How authentic is that? More information than you want to know. I just want to point to the number. That's how many living North Atlantic right whales are left on the planet. And this infographic is terrific, in my opinion. And Noah puts it together. You want to get your phone out, you can, but I also have this QR code up here so that you can go to the information about right whales. I encourage you to learn more about them if you are interested. And if you spend one day in this county, you have seen this. This is our Carteret County coat of arms and county seal, not the animal seal, which you stamp on an envelope. And most people think those are fish. That's okay. But not only can I tell they're whales because they lack a dorsal fin, because they have a smooth back, I know that they are the North Atlantic right whale. This has nothing to do with conservation or education or research. This is all about economics back in the day, because this species was so important to the economy of this area that they thought they would feature it on every county vehicle, website, building. So now you'll notice this everywhere. Sperm whale is the largest of the toothed whales. This is one that came ashore alive at Cape Lookout in 2004. I can tell you with confidence, if a sperm whale in North Carolina is within sight of land, it's dead or dying. It's not its habitat. Go 20 miles offshore, you're likely to see them. If you don't see them, we put a hydrophone in the water and we can hear them. Of course, you all keep hydrophones in your pockets. I know it's an underwater microphone, but they're here and they were targeted globally, actually. But this whale died on the beach, and this is the one that is featured in this museum. And I'm very proud of the donors and volunteers that helped make that happen. This is another live sperm whale that came ashore in North Carolina. The last one was a 15-year-old boy. This is a young female, and typical of deep divers, which is kind of strange, they lack upper jaw teeth. Rare exceptions. They only have teeth in the lower jaw. And in case of sperm whales, those teeth fit in the sockets in the upper jaw. And this female was very skinny. I think I mentioned she died on the beach. The next slide is going to show you what the necropsy, which is an autopsy on a non-human, what the necropsy revealed in her digestive system. And this is it. And you recognize some of the stuff. There's ropes of different lengths and diameters. That's a grocery bag. Looks like pieces of 2 balloons there, plastic film, plastic bag. This thing, I don't know what it is. It's an air bladder of some sort. That's a hard plastic valve. Maybe something you would put in your kayak for buoyancy or something that you sleep on. I have no idea. This is alarming to me. I don't want to lead you to believe this is typical. This is the most extreme case of marine debris ingestion I'm aware of in North Carolina. But here's the oh wow. We're finding more plastic more of the time in the deep divers than we are in the shallow divers. And we don't know why. And I'll just kind of leave it at that. You know, there's a lot of mysteries. This is what we like to find in the stomachs of deep divers. These are squid beaks. And people who are so geeky, they make me look normal, can actually tell you what species of squid these are. And we're learning a lot about our ocean environment by investigating the stomachs of these deep divers, like discovering new species of squid and our things we're learning about plastic. Okay. And whalers used to call them the carpenter fish. And I have a very brief recording, and I want to introduce you to the sounds, some of the sounds that sperm whales make. The acousticians on the boat with me told me they thought this was 3 sperm whales. And let's just see if this works. It's less than 20 seconds. Okay. There it is. If you were expecting the repeating melodic songs of a humpback whale, you're very disappointed. We don't know what they're saying, but we think it's very, very important. And actually, people are learning a lot about these individuals by the sound they make. Can they determine the size, the sex, how many are there? Can they identify species? We're learning a lot about marine acoustics, and I'm grateful for the folks who have the patience to do that. Humpback whale with a bottlenose dolphin. I don't think I've ever seen a live humpback without dolphins around them. And so this is not unusual. And my favorite photos were taken by Paula Daly. And this is a humpback whale, an endangered species, lunge feeding through an overfished species, Atlantic menhaden. These are the lucky terrified fish that got away. And inside the throat and lower jaws is literally tons of water and terrified fish. And this is how they feed. And we are sitting in the Maritime Museum right about there. So this is our neighborhood. And it's a very inspiring photo to me, although the fish would not agree. The fingerprint for photo ID for humpback whales is the tail. If you've ever been on a whale watch, you know this. Photographers wait for the humpback to raise its tail so that they can photograph the ventral, the bottom side of the tail, to figure out who it is. And I just wanted to present this as an example of a terrific photo that John Russell took. And these scars are evidence that this humpback whale had survived an entanglement. Survived it, but it had been entangled. Those are entanglement scars. So we photograph them around here periodically, and others do too. And the beat between Cape Cod and a little further north by North Carolina down to the Caribbean, that's a pretty well-known migratory route for humpback whales. And I just want to present to you what the people who do this told me was the oh wow. So a humpback whale I photographed off Cape Lookout. The next season, a few months later, was documented with photos off of Georges Bank off Cape Cod, very predictable. But 12 years later, that humpback whale was in Bermuda, and people studying humpbacks said they didn't think that was even possible. So we can learn a lot from photo ID. It's a relatively non-invasive method. Okay, dead humpback on the beach. We want to know who this individual is, or at least share a photo of the bottom of the tail. But this whale is on its belly. How can we see the bottom of the tail? 10 of us cannot lift this tail. So we try to get someone with heavy equipment to help, and we literally cut off the tail. A couple graphic slides coming up, but I just wanted to introduce you to photo ID. And actually, you're going to play photo ID with me. So the tail was cut off. A backhoe is raised in the tail. You're looking at the ventral, the bottom side of the tail. I'm going to take that picture and shrink it and put it off to the right. I'm going to flip it upside down. Are you with me? Okay. I'm going to bring in John Russell's photo off Shackelford Banks. And we see entanglement scars. We see the right side a little darker than the left side on both of them. And people more experienced and more talented than I determined that this is not a match. But darn, is it close? And some of us spend an embarrassing amount of time trying to figure out these things. Beaked whales. These are some of the ones we know not much about. As far as I know, they've never been observed chasing food and eating it, courting, fighting, pooping, giving birth. They spend most of their life where there is no sunlight, in the dark. We think their world is sound, and that's how they find prey, avoid predators, find each other. I'm going to highlight the one on the lower right, which is a Gervais beaked whale. You likely have not heard of one, but it's North Carolina wildlife. It's on the forks of a forklift. This is downtown Atlantic Beach, right near the Atlantic Beach Circle. We have learned over the years that if we give the public works employees of some towns a dozen donuts in the morning, they give us access to their heavy equipment. So I want to emphasize that donuts are an important part of this work, maybe your work too. And all I saved was the skull. And this is that skull. They're very deep divers, like all deep divers. They don't have teeth in the upper jaw, only in the lower jaw. Only 2 teeth. There they are. They wiggle, but I can't get them out. This is an adult female. These teeth will never erupt out of her gums. She has teeth, but they will not come out of the gums. In males, the teeth do. Huh? What are teeth for? How do they feed? We have never observed them feeding. So how do we even learn about this? And shout out to the stranding networks and the people who study anatomy and stomach contents. We have a good idea of how they feed lacking teeth. They eat primarily squid and unfortunately plastic. And an artist put a Gervais beaked whale on a shirt for me. And this is to commemorate a skeleton we built. And she put the feeding method on the back. It's not critical. It's not negative. It's educational. We really think they're suction feeders. So there you have it. You suck too when you eat spaghetti. And this is that skull. For people online, on the back of my shirt were the big words, beaked whales suck. Pilot whales, somewhat predictable, not close to the beach, very rare close to the beach, but further offshore. No one would associate North Carolina with orcas, also called killer whales. But we've had one stranding, and that's the documentation of it, 1974, and multiple reliable live sightings. This is one of them, unmistakably an orca, also called killer whale. So they're here. We don't know much about them. There's not a lot of them. The last documentation was taken by the aerial survey team, who's going to be presenting later, and this is their photo. It's a subadult male, and it's pushing around a live bluefin tuna. Huh? Do they play with their food? And they just stayed around long enough to take a brief video and picture. But anyway, so we do have orcas. And really all this talk about orcas is mainly because I wanted to show you this. This is the only picture I'm going to show you that is not from North Carolina. And it's a killer whale or orca preying on mobile arrays in the Sea of Cortez. And it's a little blurry because it's a frame grab from from Marianne Olson's cell phone photo that she took right next to Vicki and I. So I'm going to see if this video works. It's about a 20-second video.
There's a ray right here. Oh, gosh! I got that on video.
Anyway, that was just for fun mainly. Many species of dolphins, and we really would have to see a good picture to help you identify them. But the only one that you're likely to see, the only species that you're likely to see near shore year round in North Carolina are bottlenose dolphins. I don't care if you correct the person on the beach or the dock next to you who says, oh, look at the porpoises. But I have never seen a live porpoise in North Carolina. This is the extreme southern extent. And the live ones that have been documented are dying, basically. Vicky's going to correct me if I'm wrong. But so what we're seeing are bottlenose dolphins. Shout out to the North Carolina Marine Mammal Stranding Network and the organizations that take a leadership role. And I presented the coast of North Carolina as well. And I'm going to introduce you to a couple cases. This is a graphic that Vicki created just out of several years of our work. And I don't expect you to read the words or anything. Mainly, I just want you to see the color. Bottlenose dolphins, by far, are the majority of the strandings we respond to, the stranding network. And all these names, I just want to once again restate North Carolina's diversity. I mean, that's a lot of different species. So thanks for that. And this is an example. Park Service employees are incredibly helpful. They got the talent, the staff, the time, the equipment. And so Vicki is directing one of their employees, and she probably didn't even need donuts for this one, to get the minke whale up on the shore so that she can lead a necropsy. We got a call at the dinner table one night. A jogger at Fort Macon said, I was jogging next to a humpback whale swimming down the beach, and it got entangled in a net and then turned offshore and took the net with it. And I looked at Vicki. I said, the weather sucks. I'm alone. It's dark. I'm not going to go out there looking for it. And we agreed. And so we said, if someone calls it in the next day, maybe we'll go. Well, darn it, if before sunrise, someone called, and said, hey, I'm with an entangled humpback off Fort Macon. So I hopped in the boat because they didn't want to stay with it. And it's easy to lose these things. And the fisher stayed with it till he saw me, and then he waved and took off because he had to go to work. And this is it. And it's horribly entangled. There's line across its back. There's and these are the floats from a monofilament gill net. That's the line across its back. Dorsal fin, it's swimming in that direction. It's entangled, it's bleeding, it's injured. And my job was not to touch the whale, not to touch the gear. No one can get hurt when we do this. I'm just there to document it, wait for help, report it to the Provincetown folks, say we have an entanglement, and then they'll start a response. And something happened that I had never heard of I didn't think it was possible. This humpback surfaced, raised its tail. Those are its blowholes. So again, swimming in that direction, dorsal fin. And that was the best ID shot I could get. And then after that, it went down. I didn't know where it was. And then 50 yards away, it breached and it didn't have any gear on it. It got itself disentangled. And I wanted to get a better photo, but I thought there was a gill net behind me that was going to entangle something else. So I called Fisheries and Duke, and we all collaborated and got the net out of the water. Meanwhile, I was on the boat alone, and someone from Marine Fisheries called and said, Keith, there's a real pissed off fisherman who said someone stole his net off Fort Bacon. I said, I'm pretty sure I'm with the thief. Anyway, I'm going to chalk this up as a success. You know, the whale got away, and we got all the gear, and the fisherman was able to confirm that we got all the net. So I'll call that a success. The whale might not agree. This is a skeleton of a humpback whale. We're working on the Bonehenge Whale Center. She was known when she was alive. Her mom is Spider. She's one of 4 siblings, and her name is Pitfall. And she was 3 years old when she was hit by a ship and killed. And her carcass came ashore in Duxbury Beach, Massachusetts. And the veterinarians determined that a ship strike killed her. And the ship strike broke her skull in 2 pieces. And those are the 2 pieces. And the necropsy report says she very likely died instantly, but she was alive when she was struck, as opposed to possibly a ship hitting a dead whale. The right mandible was broken in 2 pieces. The upper jaw bones were snapped off the face. I mean, it was a devastating blow. And ship strikes are another problem that the whales face. I'm going to. Oh, we don't know how bad this problem is globally. This is why. We know this ship strike issue is a global problem. It seems like wherever there's a lot of shipping, this is the roadkill. But we often don't know where they're hit, what boat hits it. Smart people are trying to learn. Well, this is a Royal Caribbean cruise ship coming into a Canadian port. I'm not slamming Royal Caribbean in any way. They did nothing wrong. There are no fines associated with this. They had a dead whale across their bow and they didn't know it. And this is a public relations nightmare. So I know they didn't know it. It was identified as a fin whale, the 2nd biggest animal on Earth, dragged off, estimated to be 60 feet long, taken offshore and sunk. No necropsy. And you might reasonably say, so what, Keith? The cause of death is obvious. But what the veterinarians are teaching me is maybe the ship hit a dead whale. Maybe the whale had underlying conditions, an entanglement or something that contributed or disabled it. And we can't know, we can't do necropsies. It's very expensive and complicated, but I just want to mainly give a shout out to the dedicated people who do these necropsies because we're learning a lot. This is just one of 5 examples on our East Coast that I have of ships coming into port with a whale across the bow. One case the whale was still alive. Okay, this was just posted on the NOAA website. It's about a 25-second time lapse I want to play you. And I just want to show you what's going to happen. This is a yearling right whale, that red dot. And it's this time of year, it's the month of March, and it's migrating close to shore up toward Cape Cod in the Bay of Fundy. It's fairly predictable for right whales. And the blue are ships. The blue dots are anchored ships. The blue slashes are moving ships. And this time lapse covers exactly 7 days. So I'm going to start it. I'd like you to keep an eye on the red dot as this whale migrates north, and feel free to wince with me every time you see a slash hit the red dot. and it loops. And it made it. It's amazing anything makes it. All those intersections, the whale must have been down. Can't tell if it was evading it or just luck. A captain familiar with the study came into the Bonehenge Whale Center. He said, Keith, this is about 1/10 of the ships out there. And he opened up his phone because he's got an app that shows him where ships are. And yeah, these are just the ships that wanted to volunteer to donate their AIS data, their location, time, ID data for the study. Okay, local bottlenose dolphins. We identify them by the notches they acquire in the dorsal fins. And that's another presentation. But I wanted to just talk a moment about sound. They don't have vocal cords, but they're very noisy. They create sound, as far as we know, primarily by squishing air back and forth in these air sacs around the blowhole. That sounds like a dolphin. Not really. But anyway, and this organ called the melon, MELON, I think everyone agrees that one of its main purposes is to modulate sound. I liken it to a magnifying glass focusing and amplifying light. This fatty organ, no bones, no muscle, focuses and amplifies sound. And we think most or all of their sound reception goes through their lower jaw, and their ear bones are located there. And I just wanted to play you a brief sound clip. It's maybe a 20-second sound clip of some of our local dolphins. This is about 17 dolphins off Shackleford Banks, wintertime, with an underwater microphone. And let's see if the sound works. I want you to listen for a couple different sounds. Whistles, flowing sounds. Researchers refer to those as signature whistles. One dolphin will keep the same sound through most or all of its life. I'm Keith. Listen for echolocation clicks. Sometimes it sounds like a squeaky screen door. Pulsed sounds. And I think I've got what researchers call the Big Bang here. It's always preceded by echolocation clicks, and you might hear this especially toward the end. Those bangs sounds like a cap gun or a distant gunshot. Some people think are powerful and intense enough, loud enough to kill or stun a fish. And so let's just see what we can hear. And at the risk of you falling sound asleep, I invite you to close your eyes for 20 seconds to really listen to these sounds. Okay, wake up. Your assignment is to translate that into English, and it's due on Monday. Are there any questions? Yeah, I call that the Dolphins' greatest hits. Every sound I've ever heard them make, it seems to be represented in that sound clip, which is also on the Bonehenge website if you want to make it your ringtone. All right. This is the worst story I have. Just giving you a heads up. We got a call, probably at the dinner table. Can you imagine what my dinner conversations are like? Of a dead dolphin floating off Harker's Island, and Vicky went down to investigate it, and she found it, and it's a yearling bottlenose dolphin. And there's something strange going on with the jaws, and I'm going to show you a close-up of its head, and this is it. And line has entangled both jaws completely around it, and that line is this, sanitized, cleaned up. And I can look at it and tell you it's not from a fishing reel or rod. It's a monofilament gill net because it has knots. And the lines that we use to tie our floats and our leads to the gill net is this nylon line. Craig Harms at NC State x-rayed it because I really wanted to make a display out of this and I wanted to know what the challenges would be. And this is the x-ray. And it shows something I hadn't seen before. We've seen plenty of entanglements, but the upper jaws were completely broken. Just to orient you, the eye is about there. This is the gape of the mouth, and that's the break. And he did something further, and I hardly know what I'm talking about. Some of you might know more about this than I. He did a CT scan, and that shows in much more detail in 3D the chronic nature of the injury. Teeth had become displaced over time. There's healing. The lower jaw was starting to get injured. And so this guided us and just, this is that skull. And recently we just completed it. A volunteer put all the teeth in the sockets. And so that's it. I just invite you to take a look at it. Feel free to take a photo of it. Imagine what seems to me is the worst possible way to die. There's no question about it. This young dolphin was nursing when it got entangled, and it would have been nursing when it died. I asked Craig, how many months or years of growth does this represent? And he said about 6 months. So most of this young dolphin's life, way most of it, was dying next to its mom. And that's hard to swallow. Okay. Yep, that's what's up here. One of our responses, we started this in 2007, is to copy everything Florida has done well with by putting up signs and receptacles and reminding people that the beach and the ocean is not a proper place for line. And we're trying to keep track of how much we recover and send off for recycling. And we're just about up to 5,000 miles estimated. But anyway, I just wanted to introduce you to that. All right, the last thing I'm going to terrorize you with. We got a call. A woman said, I'm standing next to a beach. She was in Emerald Isle. I'm standing on the beach next to a live breathing dolphin on the sand. Vicky said, send a picture. She sent the picture. It was alive when she took this picture, but it's not a dolphin. It's too big. The flippers are too small. She has no erupted teeth. It's a Gervais beaked whale. This guy, that girl, but this is a young female. By the time the team got there, the stranding team, she had died. Small enough to put in the back of a truck, take her to Seabass, unloaded her there for the necropsy. And this was the oh wow moment. This is the oh wow photo. Sorry, I didn't warn you about this one. This is the entrance to the forestomach. And there was this, which initially wasn't evident what it was, but it ended up being that. And I just grabbed this off the internet to emphasize what we're talking about. It's a Mylar balloon. There was no food in the stomach, no squid beaks, no fish bones. There was mother's milk. The mother's milk was on the other side of the balloon, and the balloon blocked any opportunity of mother's milk to nurse this young whale. That balloon is this. Just rinsed out, sanitized. This is all it took. No sign of the mom, but this is what killed that young whale. I don't know why balloon releases are legal. I swear I'm not picking on you. We may have participated in balloon releases with joy or sadness. I just don't know why it's not littering. I have too many examples of this. This story I just told you happened in October 2023. That same month, the city of Greenville, North Carolina, failed to approve a proposed ban on mass balloon releases. The mayor cast a tie-breaking vote. And I'm like, oh my gosh, do we have to argue about this? And we do. Twice, I was asked, 3 times, I was asked to give talks at East Carolina University about whales, and they want me to bring this story. This is their town. Again, I'm just the messenger. I want to tell you what 2 women told me during these talks. Both of them identified themselves as representatives. The first one raised her hand, said, Keith, and she identified herself. People do balloon releases for grieving. I don't want to take that away from my constituents. And she's telling the truth. and let's assume she's a good politician. Um, I was caught off guard, and I, as politely as I could, I just told her that this makes some of us grieve, and I dropped it. Okay. At the second talk, a woman raised her hand and said, Keith, can't we just ban balloon releases along the coast, but still do it in Greenville? So you know how she voted. Okay, she thinks they go up and come down. Well, we've documented balloons with tags traveling 500 miles. I've been to events. I've seen, I've heard parents teach their children that these balloons go to heaven. Release the balloons, sweetie. You will please God. They don't go to heaven. And I need help kindly, politely informing people they don't go to heaven. This is kind of important to me. This isn't from another country in another decade. This is here and now. And if any of you think I can message about this any differently, I'd love to hear from you. There is a bill in front of the state legislature right now, SB 20, proposing to ban mass balloon releases in North Carolina. Dare County has banned them. The town of Beaufort has. I don't know if the state's going to. Florida just banned them statewide. Who saw that coming? Anyway, so just consider that. Oh, this is sort of a fun end to it. My volunteers made a flyer, and we take these to the Dollar Generals and the pet shops and the wedding venues and the funeral homes. And it tells a story, but it also suggests blow bubbles, light candles, sing songs to express your joy or grief. Don't release balloons. And then when we published this, people started collecting them. We started collecting more and more, and they all brought them to the Bonehenge Whale Center. I'd say, thank you, but I really don't want them. And they kept bringing them. And my volunteers got creative, and they collected dozens of balloons, and they put them in a big box, and they mailed that box to the mayor of Greenville, North Carolina. I love that style of activism. You can do it too. Not with a nasty note, just a note that said, we were disappointed in the outcome of your recent vote. With this new information, perhaps it would the result would be different if it comes up to vote again. I think we can solve this problem. We have a speaker who's going to present about Rice's whale, and these are available for free. I'm not going to out in the lobby. Just wanted to let you know about that. Bonehenge Whale Center was built by volunteers and funded by small donations primarily to do most of the work that I presented today. And I would say half the people in this crowd had something to do with the Bonehenge Whale Center. Thank you. That's it on the museum's Gallant Channel property. It's a really functional, well built by volunteers. Even the general contractor, Vic Basilino, was a volunteer. That's the inside. It's a workshop, not a museum, but I do try to get anyone who wants to come in there. I want to bring your attention to the street side window that has a dolphin in it. And that's a close of it. John Brewer, I know someone in here knows John. He's putting the final touches on it. And we got silly with this dolphin and painted the entire skeleton in glow-in-the-dark paint. And if you look carefully, you'll see I've mounted a black light on the window frame, child of the 60s here. And at night, that's what glows out. Not worth a special trip, but that's what you will see. Shout out to all the organizations that have contributed to what I can presented today. This isn't just a courtesy. We work together really well. We all know we need each other, and I'm just super grateful to be part of the team. And I've seen it on Facebook. It must be true. If you have a Protect Wild Dolphins license plate, you will look younger and sexier, and your car will go faster and last longer, and you'll be supporting the work that I presented, because this is the only income that I can count on. It's about $10,000 to $12,000 a year to support the work I presented. We survived, and I'm thinking there's not time for questions, but I'll be told otherwise if there is. Huh? I didn't go over. I love questions. Yes, Stan. Oh, right. Okay. So the yeah, you know more than I. So the question from Stan was about shore-based whaling in North Carolina, and was it a big industry, and how much was it really? You've read more about it than I. I've read that, and David probably knows this even better. A big year for kills in North Carolina was 4 or 5 right whales, but I have to emphasize, and you probably know this, and David too, the record keeping sucked. I mean, really, just you want to learn about whaling, go to the Russian logs or the Australian logs. They are great log keepers, they're not American whalers. And so I've had a hard time finding out how many, and I haven't found any evidence of any of the meat from whales consumed by humans, which surprises me. I just can't imagine it wasn't. Some evidence on the ships, but not from our shore-based whalers. Thanks for bringing it up. I think you know more about this than I do, actually. And Stan got recognized by the Park Service, and he's a terrific volunteer there, and has done so much research in local whaling. And I hope you can stay for David's talk. Okay, so yeah, Sam mentions again just a lack of information, and maybe not a lot of whales killed off North Carolina. So thanks. Yeah, I have a lot to learn, and I know there's a lot to learn. Another question or comment? Yes. Yes. The whale had a suction cup. So the question was what technology was used on the whale. I'm almost positive, and it's used pretty frequently for short-term tags on whales, a suction cup tag that had a battery pack and a transmitter and an antenna. If someone in here tags whales, you can describe that better than I. But that's the best of my knowledge. And short term, yeah, the whole study is what I showed you represents 7 days, and that's kind of a long time for one of these tags. You haven't, and you can act. Sorry, talk. No, you know what? Talk. Okay, all right. Am I embarrassing myself? Okay, nice to see you. I won't embarrass him. Hi. Any other questions or comments? Yes. um there was no so the question was about the net on the humpback whale. To my knowledge, the fisherman did nothing illegal. The whale was marked, the net was marked, and he was fishing legally at the time, and the laws changed so often I can't keep track of them. I was confused at the moment. Should I try to get an ID shot for science to find out who this whale is and be able to identify it should it come ashore dead or dying? Or should I focus on that pile of net that's certainly going to entangle something else? And I was alone. I just made the quick decision to grab the net. And then I called probably Andy and other people at Duke, and they came out in a boat, and fisheries was waiting for the net, and we got it all, only because the fishermen said we did. Did I answer your question? Or, no. Are you allowed to cut it? Probably most people are not allowed to cut it. I believe one of my 3 permits probably covers me, but I don't think I can actually. I don't think I'm allowed to touch the whale with the level of training I've had. Tommy might correct me if I'm wrong because she works in Providence Sound Center for Coastal Studies, but I'm a level 1 responder. I'm allowed to place a tag on trailing gear, basically, and I'm not trained or experienced in touching the gear or the whale. And the biggest fear is that someone gets hurt or injured or died. Okay. The question is it the same type of netting or a wide range? Well, one of the global experts is in here, but I won't pick on him. It's a huge variety. I mean, it could be anchor lines, monofilament gill net line from fishing reels. I'm sure there are patterns that people know about and other patterns that we're still trying to figure out. But it's a big variety. I've heard people talk, oh, yeah, that's the green line from the lobster fishery in Maine. It would be really helpful if we could tag these lines and find out the sources of them. And that's a struggle to get fishers to want to do that. Did I answer? All right, thanks. Yes. Okay. Yeah. All right. So the question was, are there methods or materials that fishers can use to reduce the likelihood of an entanglement? And it's just a big variety from fishery to fishery. I know there's a real hot topic right now in Maine. I know there's some people in here from Maine where they're trying to use ropeless traps so that their buoy is attached to the lobster trap on the bottom and you can release it with a sonic ping, comes to the surface. There are problems with it. Anyway, people are trying to work on technology or methods. I mean, the simplest thing is kind of low tech. It exists in Alabama and other places I've worked. You can't leave a gill net unless it's attended. In North Carolina, you can. That's not technical, and I think that would help. Your flounder will cost more. Your spot and croaker will cost. Oh well, whatever you catch with gill nets. I mean, it would cost more because the fisher has to spend more time. But right now, you can set a gill net. I've done it. I used to have a permit, license. You can set a gill net in North Carolina, and go home, go to your board meeting in Raleigh, whatever, and come back and harvest it. I found nets off Shackleford banks twice, well documented, no identifying markers on them. Someone took the markers off. I called Marine Fisheries. Keith, you're not authorized to touch that net. I said, well, why don't you come out and help me? I want to see what's in it. No, you're not authorized to touch it. I said, when does a net become marine debris? There's no marks on it. And there's live and dead wildlife in here. I just want to see what's in there. They weren't interested in that. And I'm not being critical. They did the important thing. They sent people out. They didn't tell me and I couldn't join them, but they got the net out of the water within 24 hours. We can do better, I think, in collaborating. And we have to. Did I answer your question? You got me wound up, kind of. Yes. Okay, international protections vary, and careful, Andy, man, you can't get out of this one. And so the vaquita is an example. So, was there a question or? Um, right. So Robin's talking about the vaquita in the northern Sea of Cortez. We know what's pretty much driving to extinction: the illegal fishing on a fish called totuaba. And it is so complex. There's been a fair amount of written about it, and it's drugs and sex and politics and aphrodisiacs and money. Lots involved. And if someone in the room wants to speak up about it, feel free. I've never seen one, but I don't think they're extinct yet. I got a shred of good news yesterday. I don't know when it came in, but that 2 calves were seen. That's huge. Vaquita, but anyway, you can thank me later, Andy. Go ahead. I think Vicky led the necropsy. It was a fin whale, 2010 Memorial Day. Yeah, yeah. So it was a young fin whale. Oh, okay, that's your beat. Okay, I think I'm being notified that I need to. So the question was about a whale that's stranded in the North River. Yes, and technically that area is part of the Rachel Carson Research Reserve, and so I asked Paula Gillikin to add that to her species list. Fin whale at the Rachel Carson Reserve. It was a young fin whale. I forget the results of the necropsy, but a thorough necropsy. Oh, we had the A team out there. Pull it out, and what we didn't pull out went out the inlet. Shallow water, we stood up. We were very nervous. Bloody water. Yep, you know those are sharky waters, and we were nervous the whole time working in this bloody water. And yep, all right. All right. I'm going to be around most of the day, all the day, I think. I love questions, love to talk more, but I'm going to yield to the next presenter.